Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the e-commerce clinic. If you're here today, it's probably because you're either an Amazon FBA seller or you're in the e-commerce space. Now, by these clinics, I want to be able to give you as much advice, support, and tips, tricks, and tools as I can. So stay tuned. And today we're going to be talking about the benefits of Chinese New Year and how we can really use it to help capitalize on our business. Now, if you manufacture your own products or you ship your products from overseas, like places like China, and sell within Amazon or in the e-commerce space, then many people say that this period during Chinese New Year can be difficult and it can be challenging as an e-commerce seller. Well, it depends how you see this. And for me, I've always used this opportunity within my business to help me build relationships with my suppliers. One of the fundamental number one things that I teach the people that I work with and that I coach is to build long-term relationships with your suppliers. If you can build a long-term relationship with your supplier, you're safety netting your business further down the line. Now, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that you can take away today to help you build some long-term relationships with your suppliers. Now, building relationships with your suppliers, I break down into three areas. Number one, the introduction. Number two, the confirmation. And number three, the contract. Now, this is used mainly when we're trying to negotiate with our suppliers and negotiate the price and the product that we're trying to develop overseas with the suppliers. But through these three phases, we can really get to understand our supplier. Now, I visualize these three stages as a funnel. You've got the introduction at the start, you've got the confirmation in the middle, and you've got the contract at the bottom. And as you work through this funnel, as you work through these three stages, the shorter time you spend on each stage. So number one is the introduction, and this is where we spend most of our time with our suppliers. Now, if you're in the period of the Chinese New Year, then often people stop communicating with their suppliers, they stop having conversations with them, because the factories are closed. Whereas me, I've built relationships with my suppliers over the years, and I now speak to them on WhatsApp and through things like ManyChat. I like to build a personal relationship with my suppliers because within the Chinese culture, having those personal and friendship relationships with your suppliers is something that can really benefit you. Now, what I do is over the period of having the conversations with my suppliers, I like to have that personal one-to-one communication with them. If I can build long-term relationships with them, it's going to help me long-term in my business. And through this period of the Chinese New Year, I use it to wish them a happy Chinese New Year. I use it to understand them and get to know them on a more personal level because they're no longer in their working environment. They're enjoying the new year, and I use that opportunity to really gain that personal relationship with them. Now, although the factory is shut for most of the period of January through into the start of February, you can really use this time to just build that relationship and rapport with your supplier. Start to understand and get to know them on a more personal basis, and you will find that this will help you long term in your negotiations. And it's part of that introductory phase that I talk of when we're building and negotiating relationships with suppliers. Now, we want to spend the most time we can in that introductory phase because it's where we get to know them. It's where we get to know more about their factory and how they work as a business. It's where we get to understand more about the products that we're developing and what they can do and how they can supply us in the best way to be able to build that long-term relationship. The confirmation stage is where we've had all of the conversations that we need in order to confirm the details moving forward into the contract stage. Now, when we come to the contract stage, we want it to be a quick close. We want it to be a quick decision-making close where there's no more negotiation that's needed. We want to be able to have had all the conversations possible and all the negotiations needed in order to progress into the contract phase where we can sign on the dotted line. If you're not using contracts in your business, then you're really increasing the risk of having problems further down the line. By having a contract with your suppliers, it helps safety net them as a supplier, but also sets the foundations of how you can work forward and really develop in the business. If problems do arise, you've got the opportunity to refer to your contract to help each other and find a solution. I've found that when I've produced a contract with my suppliers, then it's actually built the relationship long term, it's helped the process of fulfilling the products, and it's set the expectations of me as a company, but also for the supplier, and building that relationship long term. So what I want you to do in this period of the Chinese New Year, or the period of where there's holidays in China, is really get to know your supplier. If you can get to know them on a more personal level, you can build those relationships, they're more likely to be able to help you with the negotiations down the line. Use this time to wish them a happy new year. Use this time to have that personal contact with them, build the relationship, and really build on the opportunities you've got further down the line. Now, I hope that this has been useful for you. If you've got some further content that you want me to create, then please do drop a comment in the comments box below, where we can be able to provide you more advice, more tips, and more tricks. You've also got an opportunity to download our free workbook on how you can avoid the common mistakes in the Amazon and e-commerce space. All you need to do is click the link below in the description, and you'll be taken straight to a page where you can download that workbook, so you can get started working on some of the things that I've learned over the years in e-commerce and running an Amazon business. Now, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like the video and give us some feedback on the content that we've provided you today, and we will see you in the next episode on the e-commerce clinic.